What would you do if you had in your hands an object capable of altering the very foundations of what you believe to be possible? A book so enigmatic that it mixes the supernatural with the unknown, leaving the question hanging in the air: is this artifact a curse or the key to greater truths? Few dare to speak about esotericism, occultism, and the entities that dwell within this hidden realm. After all, who wants to confront the abyss? But here's the secret: it's not the abyss that scares us, but the reflection it returns to us. The story of the Book of Saint Cyprian is not just an ancient tale, it is a reminder that power and destruction walk hand in hand. In this text, we will explore pacts, invocations, and rituals that have been kept for centuries, with the promise of expanding your perception of reality. Are you ready to dive in? The Book of Saint Cyprian is much more than a piece of occult history, it is an artifact full of mystery and dread. Legends say its origins date back to the time when Cyprian, a renowned practitioner of the occult, supposedly compiled the most dangerous rituals and invocations known to humanity. It is not just a book, but a portal to pacts with entities of a malevolent nature. Many believe that flipping through its pages is like inviting the supernatural into your life. Think of it as a grimoire, but with the promise, or threat, of opening doors that should never be touched. There are reports that the book has been used in ritualistic ceremonies to summon demons and establish entire cults. Imagine a dark night, a circle of candles surrounding you, and an invocation whispered in a trembling voice. The consequences? Not always pleasant. Stories tell of readers who vanished or lost their sanity, as if the words themselves carried a destructive power. Interesting, right? After all, why would a book possess such force? Perhaps it is a key piece of gnosis that challenges our understanding of the supernatural. And, of course, the price for opening this portal is often steep. The impact of the book was not confined to its historical period. Many cultures associated it with the practice of witchcraft and, later, demonology. There are records of inquisitorial trials where the Book of Saint Cyprian was central evidence against those accused of heresy. In Portugal and Brazil, for instance, it became synonymous with forbidden magic. But be cautious, it also attracted forgers, making the task of finding an authentic version nearly impossible. Here's the mystery: what if the true book was never lost, but merely waiting for someone brave enough to seek it? For the bravest, or most reckless, there are places where copies of the Book of Saint Cyprian are said to still be found. Hidden libraries, eccentric collectors, and mysterious antiquarians are some of the clues. However, there is a cost in more than one sense. Tales of curses surround any attempt to acquire a copy, with stories ranging from inexplicable accidents to sudden deaths. Is this myth or truth? Those who dare to test the supernatural find out for themselves. Could the book be a living artifact, manipulating those who cross its path? This cursed artifact has also inspired literary works and films that attempted to capture its impact on culture. Yet, no representation can convey the feeling of holding something that seems to pulse with its own energy. Some say the book is proof that there is much more to the universe than meets the eye. Have you ever wondered what you would do if you encountered something that combines the darkest occultism with promises of power? Perhaps the Book of Saint Cyprian is not just a story, but an invitation to confront your own fears. The duality of Saint Cyprian, however, is what intrigues the most. How could someone so involved in pacts and rituals change their fate so radically? The story of Saint Cyprian is marked by a transformation that fascinates even the most skeptical. He was not just a practitioner of the occult, but someone who plunged headfirst into the realm of pacts and rituals, seeking power through entities that reside beyond our understanding. Yet, upon meeting Justina, a woman of unwavering faith, his life took an unexpected turn. Imagine a magician so powerful that even demons answered his summons, suddenly disarmed by the simplicity of another's belief. The encounter between the two symbolizes the clash between the supernatural and the divine. Cyprian, upon experiencing this transformation, abandoned practices that had defined his identity. It wasn't a simple change, it was as though he had severed a pact not only with the occult but with himself. This makes us reflect, what does it take to change the course of a life so drastically? Perhaps the secret lies in willpower and in recognizing that the powers we seek outside can often be found within. In his case, his conversion wasn't just a religious act, but a declaration that the supernatural, when misdirected, can consume even the wisest. Cyprian's journey is a powerful example of duality. On one side, the quest for knowledge and control, so typical of Gnosticism and the occult. On the other, the acceptance that there are greater forces that need not be manipulated, but understood. He didn't completely reject the supernatural, rather, he redirected his vision towards something he considered higher. Think about how this applies to life. How many times do we cling to habits or beliefs only to later realize they limit us? Cyprian shows us that even a master can, and should, learn. But don't be deceived, Cyprian's conversion didn't erase his past. Stories say that he still carried the weight of his former practices, and that his understanding of the occult was what gave him authority as a saint. He knew how pacts and invocations worked, but he also knew how to combat them. It was as though he had transformed knowledge that was once a burden into a tool of liberation. This leads us to ask, what in your life can be redirected toward a greater purpose, instead of being a chain that binds you? The story of Cyprian and Justina is so rich that it still inspires debates about redemption and purpose. He demonstrates that even those who walk on the darkest side can find light, as long as they are willing to confront their choices. This is not about religion, but about the courage to rewrite your own narrative. And you, have you ever thought about what you could change if you found your own Justina? Perhaps the secret lies in seeing beyond fear and embracing the potential that the unknown, or the divine, can offer. And, of course, not everyone was as fortunate as Cyprian. The Book of Saint Cyprian continued to carry a terrible burden, the reputation of being a grimoire that sealed the fate of many. The grimoire of Saint Cyprian is perhaps the most intriguing piece of his story. While his life had a redemptive ending, the same cannot be said about the book that bears his name. Known for containing rituals of invocation and pacts with entities, it carries a reputation that spans centuries. Imagine holding an object whose pages promise power but whisper curses. Some say it contains spells capable of curing illnesses, but also invocations that can destroy entire lives. The duality of the grimoire mirrors the author himself, a mix of deep knowledge and imminent danger. The rituals described in the grimoire are not for amateurs. There is a phrase often repeated by those who dared to flip through its pages: beware of what you wish for. A classic example is the ritual of summoning the spiritual guardian, which requires not only preparation but also courage to deal with the unpredictable. Many who tried to follow the described steps reported inexplicable phenomena: shadows dancing on walls, voices whispering names, or the sensation of being watched. The book does not offer safety, it delivers raw power, and the price for its misuse is often one's sanity. Beyond the invocations, the grimoire also contains detailed descriptions of pacts. One of the most well-known is the Pact of the Black Seal, where the practitioner offers something of great value in exchange for a wish. But be warned, stories of regretful users are common, especially when they realize that the price they offered was greater than they imagined. What makes the book even more fascinating is that it not only delivers knowledge, but also challenges its users to question their own limits. It is a reflection of the danger in trying to control forces that we may not fully understand. The impact of the grimoire on popular culture is so strong that it has come to symbolize the danger of forbidden knowledge. In many esoteric traditions, it is seen as a sort of test. Only those with true intention, and purity of purpose, can extract something valuable from its pages. For others, it is a trap, seducing the curious with promises of power only to destroy them. This makes us think, how far would you go for something that seems beyond human reach? The Book of Saint Cyprian does not offer easy answers, but invites difficult questions. Today, the grimoire of Saint Cyprian continues to stir fascination. Whether out of fear, curiosity, or the desire to understand the occult, it represents a journey both internal and external. It challenges those who read it to confront not only the supernatural, but also themselves. At the same time, its story serves as a reminder that knowledge without wisdom can be the greatest trap of all. Are you ready to face the secrets we keep from ourselves? Or, like Cyprian, would you prefer to seek something higher? The decision is always yours. But the book is not just a vessel for danger. Within its pages, there are also instructions for protection, something that many underestimate until it is too late. Although the Book of Saint Cyprian is famous for its rituals and invocations, few mention the intricate protections it contains. These detailed instructions are not just a safety guide, they are the only defense between the practitioner and absolute chaos. Imagine a shield that separates the natural from the supernatural, designed to contain forces that could consume an unprepared individual. Among the protections described are magical circles, consecrated amulets, and words of power that create barriers against summoned entities. But beware, following the instructions to the letter is crucial. A single mistake could be fatal. A famous example of protection from the book is the Circle of Union, a ritual that combines salt, charcoal, and specific symbols to create a spiritual barrier. Many practitioners report that when performing it, they felt a presence attempting to penetrate the circle, but without success. This teaches us something important: in the occult, knowledge is useless without caution. Moreover, the book also describes purification practices before any ritual, including fasting and baths with specific herbs. These steps, though simple, are crucial to prevent the practitioner from becoming vulnerable to malevolent influences. The protections are not limited to rituals, there are also advice on behavior and mentality. For example, the book emphasizes that the practitioner's intention can directly influence the outcome of the ritual. If someone acts with greed or a desire for vengeance, the protections may fail, leaving the individual exposed to disastrous consequences. This reflects a universal lesson: our internal energy shapes what we attract. Interestingly, these instructions echo teachings from various spiritual traditions, suggesting that the grimoire combines occultism with principles of ancient wisdom. Another fascinating aspect of the book's protections are the sigils, symbolic drawings imbued with magical energy. One of the most well-known is the Sigil of the Guardian, used to keep entities under control during invocations. However, it requires absolute precision in both drawing and activation, making it a tool for the more experienced. Some who attempted to use these sigils without preparation reported adverse phenomena, such as objects moving or psychic attacks. It serves as a clear reminder that dabbling with the unknown carelessly can open unwanted doors. The protections described in the Book of Saint Cyprian have one thing in common: they reinforce that the power of the occult comes with responsibility. These methods are not merely physical or spiritual barriers, they are an invitation for the practitioner to reflect on their own vulnerability. What does this mean in practice? Before exploring the supernatural, one must first understand oneself. Would you be able to handle forces greater than you can comprehend? The protections of the grimoire are not just a tool but a lesson in respect and humility in the face of the unknown. But the book does not end with protections. Its deepest mystery lies in its final chapter, where the symbols change and the meaning slips beyond comprehension. The final chapter of the Book of Saint Cyprian is perhaps its most enigmatic part. Described as a section where symbols seem to shift in form and no words are legible, it has intrigued scholars for centuries. Some believe that the key to deciphering it lies in altered states of consciousness, achieved through meditation or even specific rituals. Others suggest that it was designed to remain indecipherable, a kind of provocation for those seeking to unravel its mysteries. Could this chapter be a portal to another dimension, as many believe? Or is it simply a test to separate the worthy from the reckless? Stories about the final chapter go beyond curiosity. Many who have tried to interpret it have reported disturbing symptoms, such as chronic insomnia, delirium, and even madness. One famous case involves a 17th-century monk who spent years trying to decode the symbols. He was found dead in his cell, with drawings of the figures from the chapter scattered across the walls. It's a reminder that forbidden knowledge always exacts its price. Perhaps the book was never meant to be fully understood. But of course, that only adds to its allure for those who cannot resist the unknown. Esoteric theories suggest that the final chapter may contain a formula for accessing other dimensions or making direct contact with higher entities. Imagine an invisible portal, activated not by words, but by thoughts and intentions. However, there is a clear warning: only those with complete mental and emotional stability should even attempt to explore this section. This leads us to reflect on humanity's obsession with pushing boundaries. Shouldn't some borders remain intact? The final chapter of the grimoire seems to be a final test, a riddle left to challenge, or destroy, those who dare confront it. Another intriguing mystery is that the chapter appears to react to the reader's presence. There are reports of symbols faintly glowing, shifting positions, or disappearing entirely, depending on who is examining it. Some interpret this as proof that the book is a living artifact, connected to supernatural forces. Whether this is true or simply an illusion, no one knows for certain. But what is clear is that it continues to challenge the limits of human comprehension. And you? Would you dare to open a portal to something that may be greater, and more dangerous, than you can imagine? The final chapter of the Book of Saint Cyprian is the embodiment of the enigma. It remains a reminder that not everything was meant to be understood, at least not in a linear way. For some, it is an irresistible temptation; for others, proof that absolute power is unattainable. It is here that the supernatural meets the unknown, in a realm where human understanding is insufficient. And what if the true key isn't in what we see, but in what we feel? The final chapter does not answer questions, it multiplies them. But the book is not just a mystery. It carries with it a legacy of curses that extends across generations, terrorizing those who cross its path. The Book of Saint Cyprian carries a dark legacy that transcends generations. It is not just an artifact of power, it is an object that seems to drag along with it curses and tragedies. Many reports suggest that those who dare to approach the grimoire suffer unexpected consequences. Entire monasteries have claimed to be haunted after storing it. In one famous case, a group of thieves found the book in an ancient convent, only to mysteriously disappear days later. These stories reinforce the belief that the grimoire is more than just paper and ink; it is an entity in itself, alive and vengeful. One of the most well-known stories is about a family who acquired the book at an auction in the 19th century. Believing it to be just an exotic item, they displayed it as decoration. However, strange events began to occur: inexplicable noises at night, objects moving, and a family member falling gravely ill without any medical explanation. After months of terror, the grimoire was returned to an antique dealer, but the problems persisted for generations. This story highlights that the book seems to hold grudges, even when it is removed from its original owners. Another fascinating example is of a group of scholars who tried to study the book in an occultism laboratory. During the analysis, lights began to flicker, equipment stopped working, and one of the researchers reported hearing voices calling their name. It didn't take long before the project was abandoned and those involved refused to speak about what had happened. What makes the book's legacy so terrifying is that it seems to choose its victims, affecting only those who approach it with dubious intentions or reckless curiosity. The stories of curses associated with the Book of Saint Cyprian are not limited to specific locations or historical periods. In more recent times, there have been reports of people trying to destroy it, only to suffer serious accidents or find the book reappearing intact. It seems the grimoire has a will of its own, refusing to be eradicated. This raises an unsettling question: what if the book is not just an object, but a guardian of secrets that does not want to be forgotten? Perhaps it is a living proof that some things are simply indestructible. The cursed legacy of Saint Cyprian's grimoire is not just a warning, it is a reflection of the interaction between the human and the supernatural. Many believe the book punishes those who treat it with disrespect or underestimate its power. Whether you are a believer or a skeptic, the stories associated with the grimoire make it clear that it is not an ordinary object. And what about you? Would you dare carry something with such a history of destruction? Or would you prefer to leave the book as an unattainable mystery? Perhaps some questions are safer when left unanswered. Even with so many warnings, the Book of Saint Cyprian continues to fascinate and challenge those who cross its path. And, even when destroyed, it always finds a way to return. In modern times, the Book of Saint Cyprian continues to resurface in unexpected moments and places, defying all attempts at destruction. Various reports indicate that it has been burned, torn, and even buried in sacred locations, yet it always reappears, intact, as if protected by forces beyond human comprehension. Recently, archaeologists discovered a copy of the grimoire buried in an abandoned monastery, still in perfect condition despite centuries of exposure to the elements. This leads us to question, are we dealing with an enchanted object or something much deeper, perhaps a supernatural anomaly? Academic efforts have also attempted to decipher the book without succumbing to its curses. Renowned universities, such as Oxford, have reported projects to analyze the grimoire without physically opening it. Digital scans were conducted, but even the researchers involved described uncomfortable sensations, such as nausea or dizziness, during the process. This raises another question: does the very content of the book exert an influence, even when just observed? Or is it that the fame of its curse creates such a powerful psychological suggestion that it affects even the most rational minds? Attempts to commercialize the book have also become frequent, especially in antique markets and digital platforms. However, buyers have reported disturbing events after acquiring the grimoire. One notorious case involved a collector who mysteriously lost his entire fortune weeks after obtaining a rare copy. This story is not unique. Many believe that the book chooses where and with whom it wishes to be, ensuring that only those it deems worthy or unprepared cross its path. It seems that, even in times of scientific rationality, the supernatural still finds ways to surprise us. An interesting theory that has recently emerged is that the Book of Saint Cyprian cannot be destroyed because it is a physical manifestation of forbidden knowledge. How does one destroy an idea? For those trying to undo its influence, this seems equivalent to erasing a universal concept. This approach suggests that the grimoire is not just an object but a reflection of the human desire to understand and control the unknown. Perhaps this is why it persists, as a constant reminder that some things are beyond our control. The Book of Saint Cyprian, in its modern recurrence, continues to challenge and fascinate. Whether through its indestructibility or the way it affects those who attempt to possess it, it remains a living proof that occultism and esotericism still have their place in an apparently rational world. Would you have the courage to investigate something like this? Or would it be more prudent to observe from afar, like one who watches a caged beast? The book teaches us that curiosity can be both a blessing and a curse. What will you do with yours? The Book of Saint Cyprian is more than just a simple object, it is a reflection of our relentless pursuit of power and knowledge. But are we ready to face the cost? Perhaps it's time to reflect. What are you seeking in your life, and what pacts are you willing to make, metaphorical or literal, to achieve your goals? Remember, every choice comes with a price, and what is given to the supernatural is never returned without costs. Comment below with the keyword hidden power if you wish to attract knowledge and prosperity into your life. Subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and get ready to explore even more of the mysteries that surround our world and beyond.